Hi Homeworthy, I'm Paul in Birmingham, Alabama, and welcome to our home. If you'll come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Be sure to visit our website, homeworthy.com, to discover amazing furniture, art, accessories, and more, all handpicked by our editors to help transform your house into a home. All of the items are inspired by the episodes you see here on Homeworthy. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Paul Bates. I'm an architect in Birmingham, Alabama, and welcome to our home. I share our home with my husband Nashmi, and our two Labrador retrievers, Emerson and Walcott. Our home was built in 1927. That was, as with most cities, Birmingham's sort of heyday, where things were thriving, the houses were beautiful. We had really great architects back in the 20s here. And one day, Nashmi and I, my husband, were driving by, and I said, I would really love for us to live in that house. And we were on our way to a friend's house who lives just down the road. And lo and behold, a few months later, 6 months later or so, it went on the market, and we bought it. So we walked in, we only went in it once. We went in it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Nashmi, it's perfect. We can move in it just like it is. So then we bought it, we closed, we went back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? So the walls were nicotine, all the little bit of trim that it had was all dark stained brown. The beams above were dark brown and all kind of dowdy, so we kind of took that and went with it. And here we are today. So I thought we could move in it just as it was, and we ended up basically redoing the entire thing. We gutted it, we replastered the interior, and of course we did all the bathrooms and the kitchen and all. It had a really great layout already, and one of the things about the houses of the 20s that I really love is most of them are really good ones, are one room deep. And with a one room deep house, you get natural light from multiple sides, and that is so wonderful because it makes people happy. It makes me happy, so I know it makes other people happy. Welcome to our living room. We don't have a formal entrance hall. You step from the front door right into the living room. So the house is somewhat casual, as we are as well. So most of the pieces in here I had made by a cabinet maker, furniture maker, Michael Morrow. This little table, I would design it, draw it, which is what I love to do, and then he makes it and does a beautiful job. This is a desk that Nashmi wanted a desk. So I said, oh, okay, cool. So I started out with a desk, and I designed two options for him, and he chose this one. And I thought, oh, it'd be really cool if we made it a desk for two. So here it is. It's 10 feet long. It's made out of old oak. We love it. So we don't use it as a desk anymore. It's more of a console. We also enjoy collecting mid-century pottery. And I tend to focus on a man named Herman Collier. And he was a Danish pottery maker. And this is one of the pieces. But we both look for them. There's a lamp in here that is really special to me. Nashmi and I went to Paris, our first trip together, and we walked in our hotel. It was a really, really cool hotel. It was called the Mark, and it was beautiful. I walked in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It was the most beautiful hotel I'd ever stayed in. It was a small boutique hotel. Turns out it was designed by Michel Bonin, and this lamp was in the lobby, which was set up like a living room. at the very end, there was a pair of them. And I could not take, that's all I could see, you know? And so I went up to the concierge and I asked, do you know anything about these lamps? They said, we don't, but we'll call the designer. And they called the designer's office, and they were just so nice. They told us where they got them. Of course, it was at the Paris flea market. And so we found us a lamp, and I was really excited about it, and I've loved it. And I now have 3. I tend to keep going, or we have 3. And another really cool lamp was this one. It arrived and was broken. So I was devastated because I was so excited about it. And I ended up finding somebody that could put it back together. And while he was putting it back together, I said, can you build another one? And he said, well, I'll try. He wasn't like, you know, he didn't commit to it. He would just try. And lo and behold, he did. So there's the other one. And the only difference is the new one is heavier than the old one. But anyway, these are lamps I've always loved. Some of these pieces are by Jean-Marc Louis, and that's who Nashmi and I have collected for years. These 2 over here, as well as those 2 there. And they're just interesting. I love the contrast and sort of the earthy colors with the black. And then, you know, these are some really chairs that I love by Willem Wilkelso, I believe is how you say his name, but another Danish designer. And we were in Los Angeles at Gallery Half, and I saw these chairs, and Nashmi and I were there with our friend Betsy Brown, and I said, Betsy, you've got to come see these chairs. They're the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And so we come in and we look at them. We were all just like, you know, couldn't believe it, thought they were beautiful. And I said, how much do you think they are? And she said, $40,000. I said, really? Wow. And I thought, well, if they're $40,000, I'm at least going to ask. Well, they weren't near that. So anyway, we ended up with these chairs, and we love them. They're so comfortable, which Danish designers always studied, you know, how you sit in the chair, how it feels. They studied the anthropometrics of the body. Another special chair is this wingback chair here, which I gave to Nashmi for Christmas one year. We always wanted a fireside chair, and it took 3 chairs to get it right, but we got it right this time. This chair came from Rath Gallery in Austin, Texas, a wonderful little mid-century, not just mid-century, but a shop. These urns are really special because of their enormous size, and we have a pair. I always love a pair or 3. So one of the things that I do want to talk about would be these screens. This pair of wooden screens that I had made years ago were inspired by doors that were designed by David Adler. And it was the Clow House in Chicago that had these doors. And I remember visiting that house, and the doors were enormous. I mean, they must have been 12 feet tall. And they had this concentric pattern, and I just loved it. So I came back, and I couldn't get that concentric pattern out of my head. And so I ended up doing these, but I did these as a labyrinth. So it starts here, it has a beginning, and it has an end. So it just works its way around until it spins out. And again, these were made by Michael Morrow. You know, and he helped with the finish. And well, Nashmi and I, we didn't like the finish. And so Michael let us come to the shop. We spent a month and a half of our weekends sanding these down. And we didn't know where we were going with it. And all we did was sand the top surface off. And we loved them. So it's really Michael's finish on the base and then ours on the top. I had this sofa built. I don't know why I have to make everything. I think you can buy some things, but this sofa Grant Trick made, and that's Walcott, and he really loves it. He sits there all the time. Wow, well, first of all, I think it was the longest renovation in history. I didn't think it was ever going to end. We started out, we were just going to redo the kitchen because we didn't have any money. We thought, we'll just do the kitchen and stop there. Well, it kept rolling. We ended up rewiring it. We put in new air conditioning, HVAC on 3 floors, and When we bought the house, I noticed that there was some termite damage. It was never discussed by anybody, but I was so in love with it, it didn't matter. The backside could have fallen off and I would have still bought the same house. So when we started our renovation, I knew we were going to have to take up the hardwood floors, which was really hard for me because they were beautiful. But we took them up, and it turns out the floor system was just eaten up with termites. We had to reframe the entire main level of our house, which for me was fun. And we had wonderful craftsmen, I do want to say that, and it would not be such a great house today without them. We had a framer, his name was Troy Parker. He did a beautiful job. He helped, as we walk through the house, you'll see sort of shapes in the plaster. Well, underneath those shapes, Troy framed it all. And then we had a plaster person come in on top of that and apply the plaster, the 3 coats of plaster. But anyway, it was really amazing. It was hard, it was slow. Our plaster person, who I just adored, I would come home every day like a kid from school because I was so excited to see them. His name was Norman Ward. Norman said to Nashmi, I know that Paul's going to be my friend when we leave, but I'm worried about you. Nashmi said, Norman, I'll be your friend when you leave. So he was so ready to go. He was in our house 5 months plastering. So it was just, but it was a lot going on. And so I think all the steps were hard, but they were all meaningful. The cabinets were made by a friend of mine that I've worked with for maybe almost 20 years since he started his business, and that's how I got to know him. He made all of our cabinet work that you see, all the kitchen cabinets. His name is Michael Morrow of MDM Design here in Birmingham. So I also got interested in furniture. And it seems like when I do something for us, it's like I place all the furniture and then I ultimately have to have the pieces built, which I love to do. And so Michael is not only a cabinet maker, but a furniture maker. And he makes beautiful furniture. And so he built a lot of the furniture in the house that I'll show you. Someone asked me, David Netto asked me, was there a mistake that you regretted or a mistake that you made? And I said, oh, yes, there was. So it was the front door. And the front door, I wanted a solid door with horizontal planks of old oak that would match our interior doors. And Nashmi wanted a door with glass lights. Well, you know how sometimes you win the battle and sometimes the other person wins the battle. Well, I won that one. And I got my door with horizontal planks that matched the interior doors. And when it went up, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so dark. So we ended up building that door again. And we did put lights on the top, so Nashmi was right. We put shutters on the inside. And Ken Jones of Woodwork and Dynamics is the person that built that door and many doors for me and did many things in this house as well. A wonderful woodworker. And these, I really am fond of woodworkers. My father was a woodworker. And so it's sort of an important aspect of the whole process for me. Welcome to our kitchen. I want to talk a little bit about the cabinetry, its inspiration, and how I wanted this room to not look like a kitchen. This again was taken from David Adler's doors. This is a literal concentric pattern similar to his doors. And everything is made out of white oak, quarter sawn white oak. And I basically, we put a simple finish on it. We try to get to, just an oil finish with a little bit of liming in it, but we just keep it very simple. So the main goal was so that it, since it was right off the living room, I just didn't want it to look like a kitchen with huge appliances. So here we have our island out of this old oak. We have a black oven over here. And so Nashmi came in with a great idea of, hey, why don't we stain the cabinets black to the left of the oven? So we did that, and it turned out great. I had never done black cabinets before, so I wasn't sure about it. So the cooktop, I wanted it to look more like a console. so it's on legs, and didn't, make a loud statement that it's a range. And we use this kitchen every single day we cook. I'll tell you, one of my favorite rooms in the house is this little pantry. And it is an instant pantry. It is very small. I think it's like 8 square feet maybe. And where we keep our dishes, I have a tendency to collect these glasses with this gold leaf on them. I love those, and so sometimes I get obsessed about things and I keep going a little too far sometimes. But this is where we have our coffee pot and our tea kettle and things like that. One thing I didn't mention about the cabinetry is the countertops are bronze. And one of the special things here was to do this recessed water line here, reveal. And that was just, more of a traditional element that I've seen for years in stone pieces. So we were able to do that in this bronze, to have this reveal around the perimeter. I'm pretty sure they will never do it again. But I love it. I'm very happy with it. And again, bronze countertops here as well. And there's a couple of things that are special in here that I want to mention. It's this lamp. On our first trip to Paris, this was another find. We went to the flea market the same day we were looking for the lamp. And we saw this pumpkin lamp, and I just fell in love with it. And so we decided, let's keep on going. This is our first thing to see here, and we want to see if we find anything else. Well, we forgot about it. A year later, I go back to Paris with Betsy Brown, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Betsy, the pumpkin lamp's still here. And I don't know if that's what they call it. But anyway, so I didn't want to get it just yet, although I loved it. I don't know why I didn't, because it was, again, our first stop. So we spent the rest of the day at the flea market, and I forgot about it by the end. I was too tired. So we get home, and Nashmi and I are going to dinner at Betsy's house. And I said to Nashmi, Nashmi, should I just buy that pumpkin lamp? And anyway, that was on the way to her house. When we got to her house, this pumpkin lamp was sitting on her island. And she gave it to us as a wedding gift. So it will always be something very meaningful and to us both. The interiors, the style is made up of a lot of things. I like to think of it as timeless and classic, but it also has mid-century pieces in it. I really love mid-century furniture, and I seem to look for it all the time. And we have purchased pieces as we've traveled or as we've seen them, and they were by these furniture makers, mostly Danish, from this sort of golden era of mid-century Danish furniture, where it seemed to be most successful, most beautiful, where they studied the body and the anthropometrics to get the positioning right and to make sure it's comfortable. So it served two purposes. It was functional and it was beautiful. Some pieces I enjoy making furniture. These pieces are usually inspired by minimal design, classic pieces, traditional pieces, and then I usually pare them down and try to simplify them. Not intentionally, it just seems to be the way I work. It's kind of a combination of old pieces and new pieces that are made. I just happen to love making furniture, and fairly simple pieces, but I like to think that they're elegant and timeless. So it's really an eclectic mix of things, and the flow is always important, the arrangement is always important, it's mostly made up of things we love. This is the refrigerator here, and again, all of the large appliances I wanted to try to conceal as much as possible. So we did this panel on the front, and that's all of our food in there. But anyway, yeah, so the goal was to make it go away. I mean, in a paneled wall. Nashmi is the cook in the family. He is a wonderful cook. chef, and he doesn't necessarily go by recipes. He might read a recipe and then do his version of it, but it's always just wonderful. And we cook here all the time. This is not a show kitchen. It's a used kitchen. I wash the dishes, so that's my part, my contribution. But I tell you, these here are a pair of sconce by Felix Agostini. He was a furniture and lighting designer. He was originally from Paris, and these are really special to me. It's a piece of cast bronze, which is mounted to the wall with the shade above. And he makes, a lot of different styles. But anyway, I found these. They were a great deal, and I absolutely love them. So that's one of the things that's special in this kitchen. I didn't know any architects except Mr. Brady. And I don't know that at that early stage I really thought about it, but my dad was always building something, either our house or someone else's house. And he always had beautiful lumber, like huge heart pine beams and columns and timbers, and I spent a lot of time pulling nails from those timbers. I spent a lot of time moving piles of old brick. And those were the materials he worked with. So those were the materials that I knew. And I think that exposure was probably the seed. And I sort of went from there. But I never really consciously thought, oh, I'm going to be an architect. It's just that I spent time with my dad building things. And I still like to build things. It's exciting, it's fun, it's meaningful, and it makes our lives rich. This is our powder room, and it's very small, but it works great. We found this old stone relic. I think it was some kind of baptismal font or something, and we turned it into a bowl. And then we had this bronze base made to support it. And then of course I love black and white tile, and so I played with the pattern here in the powder room. It was so small, I wanted to make it as cool as possible. But yeah, so this is the powder room, and then on to the drawing room, which is traditionally our dining room, and we have it set up as a dining room, but it's also where we both have a desk. This is where I work at night and weekends, where I like to come home and I'll bring things home and work on projects. Obviously, we have a little obsession with books, as most architects do. So we have a huge collection of books, which this table gets tall, and then we clear them off and put them somewhere, and it shrinks. So last night I cleaned this table off, and I know it doesn't look like it, but there's probably twice as many books on this table. But yeah, we literally use this room to work in. We'll dine in here if we have like parties at Christmas or friends over. We can seat 12 people, so 8 at the table and then 2 at each banquette. We have something that's really special to me are these chairs, and Nashmi and I collected them. They're designed by Carl Clint from the 40s, I believe. 30s and 40s was when all of this happened. But they're just, they're wonderful chairs. We could not afford the entire collection at once. So I asked the dealer, I said, can I buy half of them now and half of them next year? And he let us do that. He kept them, and we bought 4, and then we bought 4 more. You don't know until you ask. But this is my drawing board. This is Nashmi's desk. We found these lamps, wall sconce that I like to think are in the style of Jean Royer, another furniture designer from the same period. They're not Jean Royer wall sconce, but I like to think they are. But they are from the 30s or 40s. They didn't know the exact age, and they do have a lot of age on them. I've always loved this Giacometti plafonier, and Francis Elkins used them often. And that is where I first saw one, in a David Adler house. Francis Elkins was the sister of David Adler, and she was a decorator from that same time period. And so there was a plaster artist in Brooklyn, and I read on his website that they would make custom pieces for people. So I sent them a picture of this Francis Elkins plafonier, and I asked if they could make one. And they said, oh, we have one. So I wrote back and I said, oh, but I need one that's 32 to 36 inches in diameter. And they said, ours is 36 inches. So here it is. I absolutely love it. We were so tickled to get it. Yeah, so, you know, all those things, you know, it adds meaning to that piece. You know, the fact that we had to find it. We loved it from the beginning. And again, in here, you'll see some of the mid-century pottery that we have collected, a few pieces. And one thing I got interested in was mid-century modern Danish landscapes. So these are two. So I buy them. It's really inexpensive art. This is, I believe this artist's name is Lily Edge, E-G-E. I may not be pronouncing it right. But you can see these are two wonderful landscapes. You can see the barn in the background. You may not be able to see it. But anyway, it just, you know, it was so wonderful to find these. And it's something that's really inexpensive. And I've loved them. Here's one over here that we recently purchased. But it's so cool, you know, just the earth tones and the greens. And it's just something fun to do. This is a table lamp, a desk lamp by Carr Clint also. And we have a pair of them. And anyway, really love those. This is something that's really special. And this was given to me by a dear friend, James Carter. It's a map of Mobile Bay. And I'm from Mobile, or from a little town near Mobile. And so that's always meant something to me. We were at dinner one night years ago, and I told him about it. I said, I didn't buy it, but I really liked it. And I collected maps. And so I went to the bathroom, and he picked up the card where I showed him about the map, and he bought it and gave it to me for a birthday present. Anyway, so again, something that means something to me that came from a special friend. I come home every day and it makes me happy. There's just an abundance of natural light, which makes me happy. I can see out of every wall that I turn, there is a view to something green outside. And it has a real connection to the landscape, and I really love that. You know, I grew up in the South, so we spent our summers outside. When I was a young kid, I can remember building little cities in the sand under humongous oak trees with my Matchbox cars. I think the connection to the outdoors is what I love, the volume of the spaces, and that we had this wonderful opportunity to live here. Now let me take you upstairs and we'll go to the primary bedroom, where it's like a tree house. This is the primary suite, the entire level. Not that it's that large, but the entire level is devoted to our bedroom and dressing room and master bathroom. So we'll go into the bedroom now. This is the primary bedroom. One of the first pieces that I bought that was sort of the mid-century era were these ram horn lamps, which I was so excited about because I love horns. And it turns out they're resin, but I didn't know that at the time. But I still love them. They're beautiful. I mean, they're great duplicates of something real. These are some of the pieces that I had made with the pencil reed, rounded the corners here, and you can see up close the little brass nail heads that I used there. That's a pair of chairs. Paulo Buffa was the designer of these chairs, of the same period as all the others, but they're wonderful chairs that we found at the Paris flea market also. And yeah, they were really special. So brought them back, had them reupholstered, yeah, so that's about it for the primary bedroom. And then of course some of the boxes that are all over the house, of the 40-something boxes. But let's go into the dressing room. Well, I think this house had a soul before we got here. We took that soul and added to it to make it special, but it was already special, and it's been very special to us. I think you can take a box and give it a soul. It starts with the people who are living there, and are they loving it? Do you love your box? Do you love your home? What you put in it? If we're building a new home, you know, we start with the materials, you know. I love old materials, which is what I grew up with. And I think that's sort of the seed. You know, I think it takes a really good plan so that things are flowing, not complicated. It takes a client that wants something wonderful, that trusts you and gives you this opportunity. We have a chance to do something wonderful for people, and that's what I really love. And I work really hard to give it a soul. You know, and you feel it when you walk in, whether it's the volume of the spaces, whether you walk into an entrance hall and it's compressed and then it opens up to a large room, or whether it's the materials on the interior. You know, I like for it to be authentic. I'm a pretty casual person, so that's usually how I approach things. I just think it's a combination of the things you collect, the meaningful things in your life, the decoration that we bring to a home or a place. Those are the things that give it a soul. This is our dressing room. Since the entire upper level was devoted to the primary suite, you know, I wasn't too concerned about privacy. So, you know, I had my friend Ken Jones of Woodwork and Dynamics build these quarter-sawn oak and glass doors. You know, and then, so this is basically our dressing room, closet along that wall here. And then I'm the bather mostly in the family, but our bathtub. So in the middle of the dressing room. This is a sofa that came from Gallery Half in Los Angeles. It is again a mid-century piece. Doesn't have a name, but there were a lot of cabinet makers that made furniture back then. And it is very similar to a piece by Hans Wagner. Sorry. Oh, this was another great find. This table, this is shagreen, and I think we got it on Cherish, but it was a great buy. I have no idea why nobody grabbed that table up. But anyway, I absolutely love it. But and then we'll leave the dressing room into the primary bathroom. This is the primary bathroom. I just wanted it simple and open. We didn't have a lot of space, so I couldn't put our water closet in a closet. And it's sort of out in the open. So we have these two consoles here, and again, really great light. And I didn't want to do a shower door, you know, so we have to worry about opening and closing it. So we just sort of slip around this glass wall here, and there's a shower. So we have our shower here, our vanities, and the tub, soaking tub there. The cool thing is we have these two little closets built in this opening, this arched opening here. So we have all of our things you don't want to hang out with. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. The cool thing about this house is It's a English cottage, really, but it's very pared down. So when we bought it, the windows didn't have any casing, which I love, and we went in and took out the baseboard. So we really kind of simplified things down, pared things down even more. Another reason it was important to plaster, because it's more durable at the floor level. But yeah, so that's about it for this level. So who wears the design pants? Well, Nashmi is very stylish. He has a really good sense of style, and you know, it's kind of a combination. We have to work together because some things I want, sometimes some things he wants. But we're always both looking, so I think it's a really good balance. So you know, I think we both wear the pants. Once we come to our compromise, like our front door, you know, we're happy. And we are always changing things. That's probably me more than Nashmi. I love moving things around and, you know, making sure things feel right. And, you know, I think everything has a place. And, you know, you have to find that place for something. You can't just plop a vase on the table and think that's right. You look for that place. But we both do that. And Nashmi is involved with, you know, really picking out everything. He helps me with fabrics. He, you know, he finds furniture. There was a chest I wanted to build upstairs in our dressing room. Well, he found a sofa he wanted. Well, he ended up getting a sofa. I didn't get my chest. But that's okay. It's beautiful. So I think we both wear the pants, you know. We just have to compromise, and sometimes we get mad at each other, and it's not long lasting, but, you know, until we get to that place where we're both happy. Now I would like to show you our courtyard, which is actually the entrance to our home. You'll pass through a gate into this enclosed courtyard that we enclose with a hedge. And we spent a lot of time out here. When we did this, we didn't realize we were adding another room to our house. And so it's been really amazing. And the boys like to hang out here and lay in the sun. And we'll sit out here at our table and read, or I might work. And this table is actually really special. It was done by a faubourg artist. Her name is Diane Husson, and she is from Norfolk, Virginia. And she did this table especially for us. So what she does is she talks to her client, and they talk about what they want, the color ranges, and things like that. And so every table she does is different. They look similar, but they're really different. And we love this table. So that was done by Diane Husson. And these chairs, we actually got on Cherish, fairly inexpensive, but again, faux bamboo, which I love. Yeah, so we we play with our boxwoods out here and hang out on this terrace, and the boys hang out on the grass. And then, yeah. Oh, one other thing is the lantern at the front door. I did have that made. I designed it and made it, as well as the one around the corner, and then had the bracket made. A man named Darren Hardman made those, and but we love them. They, at night, it kind of puts a soft glow out here and at the other end. And then this gate was built by Ken Jones. I designed it and he built it for me, and it really becomes our front door. And what it did was, our house is like 30 feet from the street. Not that it's a busy neighborhood, but this really gave us a sense of privacy, but still we're part of the neighborhood, the people walking, we still talk to them and all. It just made another room, and we really enjoy it. The word home, that is where we feel safe. That is a refuge. It's a place we can go to, where we're comfortable, where we're warm, and we feel good. And mostly feel safe. We'll go on a trip, and I cannot wait to get home. I'll love my trip. I never regret it, but that last day I'm just racing to get home because I love it. and it's where I'm most comfortable. It's where I feel safe. It's where my family is. It's where our dogs are, that we treat like people. That's home for me. Home is where the things are that we've collected, and not in a materialistic way, because most things could, they can break and, well, we can find something else. It's not that big of a deal. Now, the dogs are different. When I have workers in our house, if the dogs are here, if they're not at the office, I say, look, if this house burns down, the only thing that matters are my boys.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.